Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333, and welcome back to Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order, Last Days of Europe as the US of A. Now, in the last video, we had our midterm elections. The Democrats picked up a fair amount of seats. The far-right NPP didn't lose. They kind of lost a couple. The center is held for the most part. The Republicans lost a couple, actually. What else? Oh, yeah, we're done in Indonesia. We finished that up right before the midterms, which probably was, probably too good. Not a good idea, since we want the RDs to win the next election. But hey, what are you going to do? And we're working on, some of this foreign policy stuff. Now, we're going to do the rest of these, head down here, and we're going to sit on this. Because if we somehow manage to get not only civil rights, but the ports in Hawaii back, it's gonna be a rough fucking time for Glenn to win. So we're gonna kind of ease off on that. I'm trying to decide what we're gonna want to do actually. I think I've decided we're gonna do root of the issue and head down here, because that'll get us to the Saturday Night Massacre, and our support can fucking tank. Which I'll explain why exactly when we get down to that. But yeah, we'll get to that eventually. And then I think we'll do a little bit of the stuff here. We'll do the war on poverty, get some food banks going, form the Job Corps, do Affordable Housing Act, get a bill passed through Congress, have that good stuff going. And then what? Cures for maybe try to do some education reform while we're here. But while we're waiting, well, there's no reason to hold off or wait, I suppose. We'll go ahead, close this up. We have some unassigned divisions, which we'll go ahead and get these guys with good old Chris Wallace. And, Senate race is closed up. We can go ahead and do the fight against poverty again. I don't want to look as too much more. We gotta be very careful with how liberal we are. Because remember, if we're not careful, we'll get fucking shot. Support weapons 5. By the way, I should probably say right now I'm filming all these in like blocks. I usually try to say this. I should probably say that at the beginning of the series. So this I've recorded, I believe, 11 parts. I think this is part 12. I recorded the other 11 parts yesterday. Well, technically partially today, too, because I stayed up way too fucking late, as you might recall from last episode. So, yeah. We'll go and get some cogs in the machine. The government has extensive power over private industries in case of national emergencies. With a big creative interpretation of these laws, we can encourage the heavy industry to optimize their production lines for our potential wartime needs. Like a scout, an American should always be prepared. Well, there we are. So yeah, the fight against poverty will be good. We'll lose some reserves. Oh, by the way, speaking of reserves, I don't know what quite happened with this. I swear to God, I didn't cheat for once. I don't even know how to do the money cheats, but if we can pay off our debt, the America no longer has debt anyone. Let's go. Oh. Apparently we can invest the rest in liquid reserves into our GDP. Oh my God. Yeah, we'll, I didn't mean to cut civilian construction, actually, but hey, that's how it is now, so be it. We'll get some more anti-air. And we shouldn't have military factories all in Connecticut and Massachusetts. Let's lower up the intensity of the buildings there. And we're going to do my favorite thing in the world real quick. We're going to target the Democrats. Oh, wait, we can't. I don't think we can't. No, wait. Send election results all in. Polls updated. Yeah, the opposition can no longer campaign because, you know, they can't exactly campaign. We can go ahead and do it. I have over the camp briefly. I started working on a bit of spy stuff. We're doing what is it? Modernizing our department. So I figured we'll get working on that a little bit because I don't know what else to do with these civvy factories. But yeah, we have a big ass fucking GDP now. It is with a heavy heart that I announce that at 9:35 a.m. today, Walt Disney has died of lung cancer at St. Joseph's Hospital in Burbank, California. He was 65 years old. He is survived by his wife Lillian, his two daughters Sharon and Diane, and a multi-million-dollar empire of hope and joy. Never before has a man ingrained himself and his works into America's long memory more than Disney. Through the characters he created, Mickey Mouse, Peter Pan, Cinderella. I don't think he created the last one. In fact, I don't even know about the middle one, but I know what they mean. He has touched the hearts of millions of the world over, of all walks and ages, through the films he produced, of which there are now over 80 and counting. He introduced America and beyond to limitless worlds of fantasy and magic, made us believe for a few short hours that these worlds were real. Though the parks he designed, he has blessed us with glimpses of a future where all men can see their dream fulfilled, their inner child let loose without care. The world was made brighter with his birth and is now made dimmer with his passing. CBS will hold a moment of silence to pay homage, followed shortly by a montage of Walt Disney's finest works and an orchestral performance of the popular Mickey Mouse Club March. May his legacy bring happiness for generations to come, and may the man himself rest in peace, knowing that he has made many, many dreams come true. Let us pay laughter for every tear shed. Well, we got that done. We'll go ahead and do Rosie the Riflewoman. So we're going to try to pass a bill for Congress. We are facing down one of the world's largest empires. The Japanese control over 1 billion people in their sphere, and they could field a massive army were war to break out. Though we are a large nation in our own right, we struggle to find enough manpower to meet our defense needs. Excuse me. Perhaps it's time to think out of the box and consider whether manpower is really what we need. President Kennedy will introduce a Women's Occupational Military Equality Normalization Act in Congress. This act will open combat roles for the first time in history. While some would see this as an erosion of the traditional gender roles, the bill has potential to unite warhawks and progressives, create a grander and more egalitarian fighting force. So we have a bill to pass, ladies and gentlemen. 30... So that's 30, 42, 46. So we just need to talk to the Republicans, really, to try to get this through. Because the Democrats aren't helping at all. As always, in typical American fashion, jeez. This is, there's going to be some very decisive jokes, possibly. Which we probably don't need right now. I realize I should probably cut that out. Hey, as soon as the Republicans start making things tough for me, I'll start giving them shit. There we go. Do some more main battle tanks. Let's see, 14 of 31. So that was 12 fucking guys. Okay. Is there nothing we can't do? I know there was a thing before. Alright, we can work with Republicans to get some more support. There we go! Haha. the Women Act. President Kennedy, who supports small wings of the MPP, has managed to get the Women's Occupational Military Normalization Act to the Senate floor. The act will open up combat roles in the military to women, promoting gender equality, and increasing the recruitment pool for the armed forces. Many Republicans fear this is a pretext to enter another dangerous foreign escapade, and many Democrats worry that this will destroy traditional gender roles and undermine our precarious social gender. Ooh, there we go. Ooh! After securing its passage from the Senate through a bipartisan coalition, President Kennedy signed the Women's Occupational Military Equalization Normalization Act to resounding applause. The act bars the armed forces from discriminating against potential recruits on the basis of sex. This grants women the legal right to serve in the military occupations, including combat roles. Upon signing the act, Kennedy remarked, "For far too long, not every individual has had equal opportunity to serve their country on the battlefield. The struggle for liberty affects all people of the world, regardless of their sex. And it is a profound injustice to deny half of our people the right to take up arms to fight for the free world. By signing on this act, I affirm that we must recognize the full human equality of all of our people before God, before the law, and the councils of the government. We must do this not because it is militarily advantageous, although it is, not because the laws of God command it, although they do, nor even because many wish it so. We must do this for the single and fundamental reason that's the right thing to do. Cheers to our fighting girls." So we got women fighting. I do declare. So this will open up the road towards justice. Then we'll get un-American institutions. From the Skunk Works. During the last war, the Skunk Works project was the nickname of Lockheed Martin's P-80 fighter development program, due to the foul smell of the workshop. Since Skunk Works has come to refer to any secret or semi-secret project developed by a private company that is unbound by the normal organizational and budgetary restrictions of a company. If we create a special grant for businesses who organize Skunk Works, we can encourage more corporations to do secret projects for us and create a more decentralized military research model that will be harder for Japanese spies, or German ones for that matter, to investigate, steal, or sabotage. There we are. I do want to take a look at some of our, that's slowly going up. That's going up too. Poverty rate is going very, very slowly. It's a little annoying. The Yakis have 1% support, which is annoying. But yeah, we'll do this, and then we'll ready ourselves for battle, and then we'll do these middle ones, and then we'll move on to the root of the issue. Head down all the way pretty much down to here as far as we need to get the DA to start investigating us. And then we'll work on the war on poverty, federal food banks, forming the Job Corps. Just do some general nice stuff here. And then, yeah. Maybe do the specter of hunger as well. Poverty rate improvements. Get all this going as best we can. Land auctions, we're good there. Armory. Turret range finders. Referring to the Skunk Works, we probably don't need those many factories. Let's get working on readying ourselves for battle. We have done everything we can to prepare our nation for the Japanese hordes. Our factories are roaring with production and spitting out an endless stream of supplies. Millions of men and tens of thousands of women fill our ranks. Our dockyards are working overtime to produce warships, and our storage tanks are filled with millions of gallons of fuel. The establishment press may whine, you may see the odd student protest, but the important thing is that our nation has been forged into a steel fist with which to smash the co-prosperity spear. The Emperor must be shaking in his kimono in the capital of his evil empire. Let's immediately review our plans to take back what is rightfully ours and where to go from there. Well, I do declare. The Divine Mandate has unified Russia. Got some new budget now. We'll start training some new operatives. And we don't quite have the expertise to research anything else, which is okay. Oh yeah, it looks like they went with the army known best, apparently. So we're not having that fun event with good old Yeltslin. Which is a shame, because it's a great fucking event. But we'll do some war shipments. And we'll provide some technical and industrial support. We'll do a military shipment. No, we can't quite do that. We have to wait till we stop sending them a shipment. Okay. Well, that makes more sense. What are we doing over here? We're done with Indonesia. We could fund Korean resistance. Work on destabilizing Japan. I don't know if that's what... Let's go ahead and contribute to the... That... 55 million. Operation commenced. And the road towards justice is still being paved. Ready for battle. Let's go ahead and do some battleship diplomacy. Any battle with Japan, whether it be with guns blazing or the threat of said guns, will be decided by our naval capability. We need to be an overwhelming force to threaten the scum out of their brutalized domains on American soil from Honolulu to Attu Island. We need more dockyards, better dockyards, faster dockyards. Show the Jap the unrivaled power of thousands of tons of American steel. Operational success. There we are. And then we'll go ahead and do... How's Iberia looking right now? They are extremely stable. Oh, Salazar! Ay, Dios mío, amigo! Oh, that's Spanish. How do you say that in Portuguese? He probably speaks both languages in his position. That works. That's good enough. Armor-piercing heavy shells? Why not? Longer the effects of civilian austerity. We don't need to cut austerity more. We're doing that good because of that weird economic glitch? I don't know. I don't know, and honestly, I don't mind. I'm fine having no debt as America. My God. Ah, the Republicans have fucking come in their pants at the sight of this. The port garrisons find themselves to be little more than slight speed bumps for our tanks, but our generals are worried about the Japanese Navy elements present in many of the ports. The ports so close to important civilian, residential, financial areas. An open battle in the harbors, or God forbid, open chunk of cities would be disastrous. Let's install heavy Navy artillery on the islands and shoreline surrounding the ports, with minimal effort to hide it from the Japanese. With some luck, they'll be too frightened to leave port when this fighting starts, and even if they do try to run the gauntlet, we'll neutralize them before they can get close to a good firing position. Now that works for me. Today's our lucky day, Mr. President. We have some technology, and we'll change the Cold War. RFK had been tapping his foot under the desk for 5 minutes now, waiting for a Lockheed representative to make his important announcement. Just what could you possibly have now, Mr. Johnson? I haven't been impressed with your company for a while. We've been working on engineering for this new spy plane, one that will expose the Germans and Japanese for who they really are. The representative says, a hit of suspenseful destruction filling his otherwise quiet voice. He steps aside to reveal a blueprint for a new revolutionary aircraft. The long, slender vehicle failed to make a good first impression on the president, who at once believed the aircraft was too light. He would need information, and fast. The representative continued, this baby is a new and improved U-2, complete with better cameras for better recon. It's also faster than some of our recent planes, so it can go anywhere and back in no time. Not only that, Mr. President, but it is bigger and stronger. When it can't maneuver, it can take a hit. Now the president was intrigued. If what he says about the plane is true, the U.S. would certainly dominate the Cold War. Air reconnaissance like that would be very useful in all diplomatic situations that the U.S. could win outright. All right, Mr. Johnson, I think we should take your plane on a test drive to make sure this is really what you say it is. I'm thinking we should send this plane over to, Germany. Uh-oh. Alright, so what can we do? We can rally the center. Rally the far right. Unify the party. I'm not too worried about unifying them. Honestly, for now, for Alcatraz is sounding pretty good. Then we'll do CR all, here all. And then we'll get down to the root of the issue and start working on these un-American institutions. Last night marked the... Oh, shit. Sverdlovsk. Being in government very similar to ours. Have more open relationships. We've requested trade relationships. We have plenty of resources. Oil special. It could be valuable for us. We also hold many things that could be valuable to them, so there's no reason not to agree. Sounds like a good deal. Tell them we'll say yes, and we'll see what we get. Last night marked the season finale of American writer Gene Roddenberry's new science fiction phenomenon, Star Trek. Send the distant feature, the television program follows the starship USS Enterprise and explores new worlds and meets new civilizations. With the ability to travel faster than light, produce inanimate objects out from thin air, as well as teleport from one place to another in an instant, the show presents a bright, idyllic future for mankind that has been found very welcome in the hearts of people around the world. In the program, mankind is a principal species of the United Federation of Planets, a democratic union of dozens of alien races. The Federation has eliminated hunger, poverty, and even the need for money. Among humanity, there exists no prejudice or hatred, and the crew of the Enterprise, in addition to having several alien representatives aboard, has crewmates from America, Germany, Russia, Japan, and Africa. Many Americans and watchers abroad have found this vision of a glorious future for humanity to be a breath of fresh air in a sobering, dark reality. While some say that such a bright vision is unrealistic, few can argue that it provides a glimmer of hope in a world where such a resource is in desperately short supply. To boldly go where no man has gone before. After nearly a year of waiting and a 3-month delay, rock fans across the country are clamoring to get their hands on the Beach Boys' latest album, Smile. Those who hope the California rock band will return to their surf rock roots are sure to be disappointed, so the album's content doubles down on the baroque and experimental nature of last year's Pet Sounds. These are their string sections, banjos, bass harmonicas, recordings of bleeding goats, side whistles, harpsichords, theremins, and more, which combine to make a truly surreal symphonic experiment. The rhythms and lyrics bring together folk songs, tone poems, classical Americana, national introspection on our country's sordid past, spiritual epiphanies, and the intertwine of the body and soul. At least that's what some say. Others deride the album as a self-aggrandizing catastrophe made from someone high on LSD and delusions of grandeur. The melodies are muddled and chaotic, and the lyrics range from kitschy vegetables to outright nonsensical cabinescence. The only somewhat enjoyable song on the entire album is Good Vibrations, which was released as a single by the band back in October and hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. While fans see esoteric genius, critics see an incomprehensible mess. Where detractors hear the ramblings of an overdrugged burnout, supporters hear the enlightenment of a tortured soul. This embittered back and forth between critics has only served to drive more people to buy the album and see what all the fuss is about, propelling it further and further up the charts. Billboard estimates that gold certification is mere weeks away. Well, I mean, I like Death Grip, so I cannot give the Beach Boys shit for sounding nonsensical. So I'm picking up good vibrations from this. Fort Alcatraz. Now let's go for CL Hero. Well, our computers and cryptographers have done it at last. We now have a complete understanding of how many and what Japanese troops move in and out of our ports and where they're stationed. We also get advance warning of any sudden Japanese naval reinforcements. We are as ready as we can get once we redeploy our troops after these plans. There we are. This tiny stage is tiny, sparse, and just a red and white square surrounds on all sides by the audience. They're all Burbank locals brought in by a frantic radio announcement earlier that day. Parker may have fucked up with the tickets, but they're still there, young men and women with smiles on their faces, eager to see the man in the center of it all. Iceland had been terrible. He didn't mind all the GIs and Reykjavik locals who clamored for the autographs. That was just fine by him. But it was so far from everyone, so far from Mama. Especially, which hurt her, more than anything else put together. When the liver gave out, it broke him. He practically had a bat ash for desk sergeant's head in order to get him to leave, and during the funeral, friends and family had to hold him up to keep him from collapsing in heartbreak. And then the movies, each kitschier than the last, and each one more of a dud. Here, though, on a stage, guitar in his hand, sweat dripping down onto his leather jacket, basking in the applause and cheers of a crowd. He's happy. He's an icon, an electric conduct, a lovable mama's boy, a blight on the nation, sex incarnate, an infinite number of things. Elvis Presley is back. The image is one thing, and the human being is another. Thank you very much. Chart range finders. Advanced canning stabilization. So we just gotta keep on keeping on. See all, hear all. And we're not doing this. So we'll get to the root of the issue. The Civil Rights Act has finally become law of the land, and congressmen and laymen alike celebrate their victory, despite bellicose rhetoric tinged with a southern twang, aimed at the righteousness of our cause, millions of dollars spent on defaming and harassing our leading figures and humble ranking file, and colorful broadcasts meant to turn the American public against us, despite aggressive assaults from cantankerous, hateful racists. 20 million Americans can now truly experience the rights which we take for granted. But the struggle for true equality has yet to be won. Obstacles remain for the colored man to hurdle. Ones which had centuries to entrench themselves into the American system. Invisible or otherwise, they pervade and corrupt the very institution which proclaims to deliver liberty and justice to all. For now, we shall revel in this seminal moment in America's history. Let us take care, however, not to grow complacent on our laurels, lest we see our current successes undone. So we'll give Dixiecrats to trust us less, and we'll get towards the root of the issue. A new consulate. Trade relations have changed with the Euro Military District by 35. Okay. Director. Installation of all requisitioned surveillance and monitoring equipment has been completed. FBI field offices in San Francisco and LA are now capable of conducting round-the-clock surveillance of all activities surrounding and within the Japanese concessions, including but not limited to the following: visual surveillance of all entry, exit, and exit traffic, expanded information networks inside concessions, cross-referencing of all Japanese staff with known Kenpai titles, aliases, real-time interception of all electronic communications, maritime monitoring posts to track all shipborne deliveries, on-site cryptographic analysis of intercepted message traffic, magnetic weight surveillance devices under U.S. checkpoints to intercept illicit or sensitive materials or personnel. Further technical details are available in Appendix B, initial operating results and analysis, primarily the subject of memorandum. We see all. So we get down to the root of the issue, and then I think we'll get injustice everywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. There we go. Well, Mr. President, the U-2 mission did not go like we had hoped. The spy plane was shot down by German SAMs and crashed 20 miles northwest of Dortmund. Even worse, our pilot is now in German captivity. No doubt the secret police is giving him a hard time. Thankfully, our photos our man took of Germany made it in our hands before he met his current fate. Though we lost pilot powers, we have some aerial shots of German lands, photos we can use if the diplomatic situation grows intense. We are certain that the Germans are going to want these photos, and we want our pilot back, so we could try to negotiate with a superpower. We both have valuable assets, so I recommend we try diplomacy and get the Germans to give us what we want. Maybe we can strike a deal with them. A diplomatic crisis begins. Oh, man. And just like that, it ends! Okay! Another clear diplomatic victory is in our sights. Several days ago, while on a mission to obtain air recon over Germany, pilot Francis Powers was shot down and captured by local police. There, he was locked up and likely tortured by his captives into revealing classified information. Talks between Americans and Germans grew tense when even the president stepped in to demand the pilot's safe return. The German Führer and his lackeys had no choice but to surrender the pilot and bring him back to his Senate. Today, Powers landed in his native country to an enormous crowd of ecstatic Americans waiting to congratulate him. Thousands more watched the event on television as the entire country seemed to welcome him back. The pilot's day is far from over. He will soon be evaluated for injuries before having dinner with the president. There is no doubt the U.S. government is celebrating this monumental victory over Nazi Germany. For the rest of the world, peace reigns yet again as Earth looks forward to another day free of nuclear war. Welcome home, Gary. That was terrifyingly easy. Yeesh. Justice prospers. What rightfully guarded laws are duly enforced and adhered to by all. Conversely, improperly applied laws which liberate are as dangerous as properly applied laws which oppress, for the former demonstrates the government's incapacity to dispense justice wherever needed. Justice requires cooperation between both intent and practice. Deprive one of the other, and tyrants blossom where good men ought. Thus, it cannot be gainsaid that every injustice heard to have occurred in the supposed land of freedom is a threat to the very freedoms it enshrines as law, and the justice which they should cultivate. There we go. Oh, we started that a bit too early. That's fine. We don't have much else to research right now. We'll do improved fire control systems. Oh god, one after the other, Jesus. On the Alaskan catch, a shrimp trawler a few days out of Unalaska, Captain Jeffrey Norbert squinted into the fog surrounding his boat, trying and failing to see anything more than a few ships' length away. He sipped his steaming cup of coffee. His crew would be pulling up the nets. All he had to do was keep watch, make sure they didn't run into any ghost ships. "Hey, Cap! The nets are all pulled up. We're ready to go." A crewman poked his head into the bridge, telling Norbert they were ready to set off. Norbert shook his head. "Not when visibility is like this. We'll wait a few hours, see if things clear up. There's no one around There's nobody else around here, Captain. We're the only American boat for miles. Come on, what if a chance of the Japanese are going to poke around so far from home?" Norbert shushed the crewman, then peered through his binoculars. A dark shadow rising out of the fog morphed into the shape of a fishing trawler. Through his binoculars, he could make out a Japanese flag, and a man in the opposing bridge staring back at him. "Get on the horn. Tell the Japanese to clear out." Towards the root of the issue. Today, President Robert F. Kennedy spoke for the nation about the Civil Rights Act he had been instrumental in passing. Upon walking to the podium on the stage of Capitol Building, he was applauded by his supporters in the audience, and, once the applause had stopped, he began a speech. "My fellow Americans, we have all unified towards the concept of freedom in a way I could never have thought possible. The passage of the Civil Rights Act is an extraordinary step forward for all of us, but today, our struggles are not over. While the equality we strive for has now been codified, we must maintain our commitment to the downtrodden across America and refuse to withdraw into complacency. Unfortunately, we must still come to terms with the root of the issue. Across the country, the remnants of prejudice continue to fester, and many unabated by the legislation we have passed. While the blatant and ugly efforts of these states to segregate the races of America have been dashed, the echoes from earlier times have nonetheless persisted. To many, these institutions are a fact of life, for good or ill, but our nation was not founded on the principles espoused by America's founders. I call on the citizens of the United States to look towards ourselves and our society uncritically, and question some of the things we have taken for granted. The un-American attitudes of racist groups may have lost their stranglehold on politics, but that does not mean they have been vanquished for good. Confronting these uncomfortable aspects will not be comfortable or enjoyable, but is something we must do as a nation if we ever plan to move forward. Only through examination can we make our country a safe and inviting place for all Americans. Thank you all. We will persevere. Okay, we have an autosave I went through. Oh, fuck. Without so much as a return transmission, the Japanese ship's engine coughed to life, turning the vessel away from the Alaskan catch. Within minutes, the boat had disappeared back into the fog. Captain Norbert sighed. The Japanese seemed to have gotten the message. You'd have to file a Coast Guard report. He'd done everything right, hadn't he? They sometimes were awfully particular about maritime safety. All something to think about tomorrow. For now, he just had to check the catch. Just another day at work. Yeesh, wow. American society is united, which will benefit incumbent presidents and weaken extremists. Let's strengthen RD unity. And keep on going. Jesus. We can work on these, but the thing is, we gotta wait until election season starts in 68, I believe. Otherwise, let me go ahead and give a diplomatic arena. So we get some more stuff. We can ease Southern fears, which makes us look less liberal. We'll chat with Goldwater and ease some Southern fears. Because we got to do that balancing act. Like I said, we got to be the Klansman who's doing the I Have a Dream speech. I think we'll go ahead and do some of these poverty stuff first. I think we'll do the war on poverty. The president has returned from his tour across the nation. While made for a good PR opportunity, he's disquieted by the sheer level of poverty he encountered in some of the most destitute parts of America. Though we can claim to be a superpower, our own citizens endure such grilling hardships as appalling. As long as there is plenty, poverty is evil. The president will make it absolutely sure that his office will dedicate itself to the eradication of poverty in our great country. All across America, as the sun sinks below the horizon and stars come out, families gather in their living rooms, sit in front of their television sets, and switch the dial, bringing the image of President Kennedy and Senator Goldwater into tens of millions of homes. Plenty immediately switch to Gilligan's Island or Bonanza. Those who say shovel peas and mashed potatoes into their faces and watch the debate. What they don't know is how carefully scripted and choreographed the entire charade is. Anyone close to the two men is all well aware of the other hatred and contempt in which they hold each other. But both Goldwater and the president have agreed to debate in order to use their considerable media presence to advance their own positions. After all, there's little that appeals more to public than politicians looking like they're working together for the public good rather than stabbing each other in the back. Perhaps some of the more diehard supporters won't like the appearance of concord between the two opposing forces, but many welcome detente in Washington. So while the two amicably chat about government programs and local politics, Americans nationwide are fed the carefully designed illusion of bipartisan unity as a side to their TV dinners. Thankfully, they don't see the look of vitriol that passes between the two men as the camera shut off. People are sheep, and TV is the shepherd. Exposed to the foibles of Washington from a young age, Robert Kennedy came to realize that America is a land of contradictions. Many of his father's fellow senators profess to value freedom and liberty above all, while simultaneously denying the fundamental right of a great many of their own citizens for no other reason than the color of their skin. The Civil Rights Act is a step in the right direction to right the wrongs of his forebears, but compared to the many injustices plaguing America, it seems but a drop in a vast bucket. Sitting in the Oval Office, nursing a tumbler of scotch, the president wonders why he doesn't feel any sense of accomplishment. He'd changed the lives of millions of Americans, yet it felt like he'd hardly done anything at all. So many terrible things were still happening across America. School segregation, redlining, FBI harassment. It seemed like the list kept going on, an unstable mountain of obstacles. Kenny felt resoluteness rising in him, buoying up even as he felt like sinking. He was a president now, and he had the power to do what was right. I can't rest, he thought, as he downed the rest of the scotch, until I get it done, even if it kills me. The wicked shall have no rest. Well, when you put it like that, Johnny... Actually, I realize now we should probably get working on this as quickly as we can. So, un-American institutions, the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, in theory these agencies comprise the arm of America's law, dedicated to shield the country and its citizens from threats, both foreign and domestic. In theory, this triad and a plethora of others are the eyes in the dark which watch over America while she sleeps, a protective gaze that gives much but asks for little, and whose honest, dutiful, and law-abiding work is its own reward. Never before has the practice diverged from theory more distantly than the so-called alphabet soup agencies that form the so-called cult of intelligence. In their zeal to protect America's threats, both real and imaginary, they have trampled upon the rights of the very citizens which form America's body politic. For the good of the country, something must be done to rein them in. We have a new operative. Excellent. The people of America currently see the president as a champion of social justice. Let's campaign with Wallace then. And as always, target the Democrats. Democrats? More like Democrap, am I right, ladies? Ayo. We'll do cigarette cameras. Smiles plastered across his face, President Kenny waved to the crowd. Joined on stage by George Wallace, his alleged party brother and perpetual thorn in sight, he managed to keep a smile from cracking as he shook hands with the bastards. Goddamn, his hands were clammy. But the two men could hardly be more different, bonded together as they were by the Byzantine politics of the NPP, that they were forced, on occasion, to put aside their personal hatred of one another to speak together on the campaign. As the South's golden boy, reaching a public detente with Wallace would do a lot to increase Dixie's regard for his administration. Though they agreed on very little for Craggy Old Devil, they at least could agree on anti-poverty and anti-corruption policies. Appearing to have reached a public concord, they could present the appearances of a united front for the voters. Facing television cameras, the president turned on the charm and began to recite the speech that his and Wallace's writers had agreed on the night before. Once they were done in Atlanta, it was the whistle-stop tour to Birmingham, Montgomery, Mobile, Jackson, and Baton Rouge to let the South see the new unity between Wallace and the president. Of course, away from the cameras, the men would continue to absolutely detest one another, only speaking through their aides. Privately, Kennedy wondered if this was a good idea. Plenty of his more liberal supporters utterly detested Wallace and resented the influence of his faction in the party, but without them, they had little hope of standing against the RDs. Well, sometimes you just have to make deals with the devil, and hope it won't come back to bite you in the ass at the polling booths. Fiddle contest, anyone? So I view him now as a progressive. So we're looking a little bit better on American institutions. Let's rein Hoover in. Every political and beltway from lowly staffers to beloved presidents learned to watch their backs from J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's infamous director. Hoover has both the means and the will to acquire every single skeleton in an unlucky man's closet. Those unfortunate to have gained desire, refuse his want, will see their careers brought to an ignominious and scandalous bombshell leaked to the press by concerned citizens, such as chilling terror of whom any consider to be a kingmaker of D.C. President Kennedy cannot be cowed so easily, however. Untouchable as he may be, the director has just as many skeletons as any old statesman. With proper planning and the right people, we may be able to catch him in his own trap. Getting arguably America's greatest spy master on our side as a stable weapon will be a great boon to the longevity of the President's agenda, despite the risks involved. The prevailing winds of American politics blow in the direction of progressivism, but not all those in government are prepared to join the President's righteous crusade against injustice. Plenty of ancient old toads from less enlightened administrations populate America's labyrinth institutions, slagging off their new bosses while also never failing to collect their paycheck every week. It's about time our enemies in government learn not to bite the hand that feeds them. There are many to go about, but Hoover and his FBI stand out as the first unruly mutt that must be brought to heel. No matter the cost, all traces of reactionary dissent must be purged from government, so that nothing and no one stands in the way of justice for all Americans. Clowns to the left of me. Jokers to the right, here I am, stuck in the middle with you. And I'm going to cut it here, ladies and gentlemen, so thank you as always for watching. If you like this video, go and leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more uploads every weekday, as well as every Saturday. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, anything of the sort, go and leave in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get and appreciate any all feedback you kind of might have for me. If you want to chat or play games, I have a Discord. If you want to send a few bucks my way every month, I have a Patreon. And if you want to see me do this sort of stuff live, I have a Twitch, all of which are down linked below. That's it for now. Thank you as always for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been DB333. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.